Hey everyone, how you doing today? We are back with Greg Dickerson for episode number 3. How you doing, sir?
Doing great.
Awesome, man. So hey, last week we kind of touched on inflation, and then good old Janet Yellen came out I think on Tuesday, right? We talk on Mondays. She came out on Tuesday, and it was comical. She basically came out and said, Jerome Powell, you're looking at the wrong stuff. You're wrong.
Mhm.
And oh, by the way, she said, Biden, you might want to spend a little bit less because we may have a raging inflation problem coming. And then, of course, because of how the system works in DC, she was beaten up and told not to have an opinion, and she had to retract what she said within a 24-hour news cycle. But I believe her. She was like, wow, this thing can get out of hand. So did you see that? What did you think when she said that? What do you think?
Well, she obviously caught our episode
Yeah.
and, listened to what we were saying. So she had to come out Tuesday first thing and say, man, there's inflation. Greg and Michael were talking and we're not watching the right things, guys. Inflation is coming. It's on us. Not only is it coming, it's here, it's on us. So, she just didn't check with everybody first. And then after she did that, she went, to work to the office and they're all
Yeah.
like, Janet, you
Yeah.
can't do that,
Yeah.
So
Stay in your lane.
Exactly. So what was she doing? What was the whole point of that? So number one, testing the markets. Okay. We can't stay on the path we're on. It's unsustainable. Record highs every single day in the markets, record highs in cryptos every single day. Very correlated there. Cryptos in the markets, the same liquidity going in there. More retail investors on the crypto side than the stock market, but a lot of retail in the stock market too. So number one, she's sending up the flag saying, look, we're going to put the brakes on to see how the markets react. And how'd they react?
Yeah.
As soon as she said inflation, we're going to have to raise rates. The markets sold off and, sent the signal that, hey, don't mess with us. So she had to come back and retract and qualify what she was saying. But there's a problem. They know it and they don't know how to stop it and they can't stop it. You and I talked about negative rates. We talked about all these things. And, when you think about where we're at from, the standpoint of the markets, housing, stock markets, everything that's going on, and the inflation that we're seeing everywhere now, it's not just in assets. Months ago, you and I have been talking about inflation at the asset level.
True.
Now it's at every level, consumer level. It's at the grocery store. It's at the gas pumps. It's at the hardware store. Everywhere you go now, clothing, everything is through the roof. The pandemic is the excuse for inflation everywhere, and it's supply demand. Vehicles, they're not making vehicles now. The chip shortage is creating a problem. So everywhere you turn now, there's a shortage, there's a problem, there's a supply chain issue. So we're seeing, inflation just going through the roof at all levels. So she's right. It's here. The only way to stop it is to raise rates. If they do that, the market tanks, crypto and stock market, real estate market will tank. So they're in a pretty bad spot right now because they've got no way out and they've got no way to fix it. And, there's a big reckoning coming.
Yeah. So it's funny. You're so right. And again, I love doing this every week with you. 9 months ago. So would that have been? That'd have been like last summer. I guess we were talking about asset inflation because that's where it was, and including real estate, obviously, right? We're a real estate channel, but it was also in the stock market. Now what we're looking at as we exit, right? I call it exiting the tunnel or the darkness into the light. It's at the consumer level, right? I mean, you go to a Home Depot's or Lowe's, or you go to a grocery store, you go to the gas pump, like everything we do all the time, everything is up, and it's not all supply chain. Some of this is just a lot of pent up demand. And I don't see, and then, what's coming next, I just did a report on this today on the Daily Financial News is people are raising wages. So we're going to have wage inflation, which is awesome, it will feel awesome until you realize Chipotle and McDonald's and Yum Brands, these are just companies I talked about today, have to raise prices of their burritos, their hamburgers, and their tacos. Right? Because, Yum Brands and all those folks, they want
That's already happening. When's the last time you've been to one?
I don't eat fast food very often. So
yeah, go through a drive-through. You'll be surprised. I mean, you can't get through for less than $10 anymore.
Oh my God.
Yeah. You get a regular meal. I mean, it's $10. It used to be $5, right?
Yeah. So it's here. And I think Janet is right. And of course, Janet's interesting, right? So first off, in my opinion, Janet Yellen never meant a spending plan she didn't like. She likes to spend money. Janet
Mhm.
Yellen is what you call a labor economist, which I'm a consumer economist, but she's a labor economist, which really means she only looks at the unemployment, or at least that's her North Star. And it used to be 6%. Now they look at 3.5. I'm like, when did 3.5 become a normal economy? I mean, geez, my goodness. So yeah, we are in for some real inflation because again, companies today can't attract workers. So that what they're trying to do is raise wages, and that will feel good in the moment, but we all will pay very soon, I think.
Yeah, yeah, they're still battling the whole unemployment bonus, and I know there's a lot of people that say that has no effect on the unemployment and no effect on people not wanting to go back to work. All you got to do is go look around, and every employer will tell you all of our employees will not come back because they make more on unemployment, than they
Yeah,
can make here. So once that expires, people are going to have to go back to work, and hopefully wages will get boosted because it's been a long time coming, and
sure.
$10 an hour, $15 an hour. I mean, at today's rates and the cost of living, I mean that's not a good wage.
No, no. Living
Very
wage is
difficult to get
certainly,
by.
yeah, living wage is more than $10 an hour, 15. So I
Oh
again,
yeah, I
I
mean you
think,
got to be at 20, $25 an hour these days to
Mhm.
to just be able to get by.
Yeah, wages are going to go up. I've said it many times recently that the labor has more power today than they've had in any of my investing career. And I think that's a good thing. Don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
I think that's a great thing, but just realize, when you're paying everybody $15 an hour versus 12, the company is going to have to adjust somewhere. And that will mean the top line needs to go up.
Yeah, and what happens is as prices go up. So here's where it's headed. So when we talk about inflation, you talk about the effects on the economy. How does it work? So as prices go up, movie theaters, gas, meals out, people start cutting back because people only have so much disposable income.
Yep.
They only have so much they can spend eating out. After they pay the bills, there's so much money left over to go spend on discretionary items. So all of that gets cut back, and we've seen it before. And it starts at the high end. All your expensive restaurants get hit first. Then your movie theaters get affected. Then next thing travel, things like that. People take the travels around the country instead of airlines and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where it starts to affect things. And the Fed has no real way to fight that, other than raising interest rates, sucking liquidity back out of the economy,
Mm-hmm.
and then the markets are going to collapse, and it's going to get real ugly real fast.
Yeah, and the other thing I took away from Janet Yellen's "whoops, I didn't mean what I said, but I really did" comment is the stock market will adjust negatively as soon as the powers that be, Treasury, Jerome Powell, even hints that inflation is real. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Jerome Powell has talked about we are not even thinking about raising rates. That's kind of his famous quote. As soon as he says we're not thinking about raising rates, right, he gets one of those steps of this puzzle taken back. The stock market will adjust immediately. Real estate will be much, much, much slower to react. But the stock market, as we saw with just a whisper on Tuesday, it'll change pretty quick.
Yeah, and the only reason he's saying that is because he knows what's going to happen as soon as they say we're going to have to raise rates.
Yeah.
He knows what's going to happen. It's going to be a huge sell-off on Wall Street. It's going to there'll be ripple effects from that comment. What he's waiting for is for the economy to get back open. He's waiting for us to get to the other side of the pandemic, everybody get back to work, the unemployment, situation to just go away. The jobs report last week is an interesting thing. We'll see what it looks like this week. And,
Mm-hmm.
if we get another one like we did last week, that's really interesting. Maybe the message will start to hit home that maybe we need to get rid of that, unemployment benefit and get people back to work because they can,
Mm-hmm.
get back to work now. Everybody's hiring. Everywhere you go, there's help wanted signs.
Yeah.
So, it's not because there are no jobs,
Yeah.
it's because people don't want to go work,
Yeah.
where,
Yeah. I think
well, I
I
don't say
think
they don't want to. I'm just saying it makes more sense not to.
Yeah, no, I actually did some math the other day, and a family of four, right? Mom and dad, two kids, right? Say kids are 8 to 10 years old. In the current environment, for many people, it makes financial sense. It's a good financial move to both have mom and dad on unemployment,
Mm-hmm.
right? They make about 30K each, which is 60 grand. And oh, by the way, they don't pay $1,000 a month in childcare. They don't pay for this. They don't pay for that. They're sitting on more cash now than they've ever had.
Yeah.
It's like math, people. Do the math. And again,
It
I
makes
don't,
sense. And, and
yeah,
there are a lot of people that just can't go back to work because schools aren't fully in session
totally
and
agree.
they have no daycare, no daycare options and things like that. So there is that segment that, can't go back to
Can't,
work because they got to
totally
take care of their
agree.
family.
Yeah, totally. The economy has to open up. You can't open up one piece and leave another piece back, like daycare, right? Just or
Hmm.
schools or whatever the right answer is. Yeah, if you don't have schools open and daycare options, one parent, and if you're a single parent, I really feel for it. You can't work. You got a 4-year-old at home or a 6-year-old. You're not going to leave him at home as a latchkey kid. Come on. Yeah, it's the right move to stay home for lots of people. And I don't begrudge
Hmm.
them. I mean, it's like, yeah, I mean, I get it. It's a weird time.
Yeah, very interesting. So, it's going to be fun to watch and interesting to see how they respond, what they do and when, and how they respond to the market sell off when it happens,
Yeah,
because it's coming.
it's
And
coming.
everybody will tell you, it's really funny how they justify valuations on Wall Street and say, oh, these valuations make a lot of sense with today's interest rates,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Always watch that with today's interest rates. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to change. So any other thoughts on inflation? Because we both know it's here. It's just not being recognized by the powers that be. I actually think if you gave them truth serum, they'd be like, "Ooh, we're worried." Because I don't know if you saw Warren Buffett's comments from his Saturday yearly last
Oh,
Saturday.
yeah.
He's like, "Inflation is everywhere." I'm like,
Hmm.
I think I'm going to believe Warren Buffett over Jerome Powell.
Yeah, yeah, it is. The Fed, they're just in denial because they have to be,
They have to be.
because
They're
they
like,
can't
"No,
they
don't
can't
look
raise
there."
rates.
Yeah, I don't
They
want to
just
see it.
they can't pull the foot off the pedal yet because we're not open yet. Once we get through this July, August, September, my guess is they're going to start talking about raising rates before the end of the year, and probably
Oh,
will raise rates before the end of the year. They have to.
oh wow. I think part of again, one guy's opinion, right? I think they're going to have to be forced to talk about it at the end of the year. I don't see him actually raising a rate till like March or April next year, but just the talking about it's going to send shockwaves through crypto and stock markets thing. It's going to
All
be
right, so
huge.
we're going to have to place a bet. Okay, so
Okay.
3 million Dogecoin says,
That's funny. No, no. I'll bet you $1. Friendly ranger, dollar.
yep, $1 that they raise rates before the end of the year. I'm saying, and you're saying that they
No,
are only going to talk about it, won't raise till next year.
correct. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
All right, folks.
Yep.
Over under. Let us know who you got money on. You got raised rates before December 31st, 2021, or after that. Let us know in the comments below. Thanks, buddy.
All right, man. Good to see you.
Mhm.